Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a high-level best of 2 between YOUNGZEST and Dark. Now, YOUNGZEST is not the actual Zest. YOUNGZEST is a 15-year-old Chinese player born in the year 2008. That's how it works. If you're 15 nowadays, apparently you're born in 2008. And I guess he's a fan of Zest. He's very young and he's playing in the WTL. For the people not aware why this is a best of 2, in the World Team League, the WTL, you play 3 best of 2s between 2 teams. And then if the score is tied, there is a best of 1 ace match. So there's a loser's pick map over here, depending on who wins. First map is going to be Golden Aura between these 2 players, and I had personally not heard of YOUNGZEST before. Maybe I'd heard his name, but I wasn't really aware of him. So we're gonna see how this is all gonna turn out. There's Dark spawning here in the top left as our red Zerg player, of course. In the bottom right we have the blue toss YOUNGZEST. Opening up with a very standard Nexus before core. Nothing weird going on here. It's harassing a little bit. And it's always nice to see these youngsters coming up. Always nice to see some youngsters. It's been a while since we had a young Chinese talent. I mean, the last one was Oliveira, the player previously known as Time. He's now the current world champion. So maybe YOUNGZEST has a bright future in StarCraft 2. Dark scouting, sees the Nexus. The thing with young players is that I often feel like they're much more aggressive than older players. They tend to all in a bit more. It's like they don't care as much about the risk. This could be wrong, and this could just be that it's me who believes this, and without it being true. But I recall me being kind of an all-inner when I was younger. I feel like that is the standard mode for young kids. It's just all in a bunch. I don't know why that is. I bet there's some good psychological explanation. Older people might become, a little bit more afraid of losing what they have, while young people are really wanting to win. I don't think that's true, but it feels true, at least in StarCraft 2. Once someone turns like 22, 23, they become so afraid of losing that they'll start playing way too safe. This is a fact. Of course, it doesn't usually count for Dark, because Dark all-ins half of his games anyway, no matter who he plays against. He could be playing as someone with 2.3k MMR, he opens up with a 12 pool. He doesn't give a crap. Adept in the main base here is looking for something. Perhaps a drone kill. Doubt he's gonna find it. Dark starts the next Overlord. Another queen. What's that queen doing? Just walking up the ramp a little bit, having a blast there. A little bit buggy around that pervert pillar on which the Overlord is. Sometimes you see a Stalker just move on top of it all of a sudden. So I'm not quite sure how that works, but it is what it is. This bad boy is gonna get taken out. Nice little play by YOUNGZEST, not wanting to be spotted. We have a very quick Roach Warren here for Dark. Okay. That is extremely fast though, isn't it? That is extremely fast. There's no second gas yet. Okay, now we get gas 2 and 3. That is interesting. That is interesting. Because this is something you can definitely scout if you're YOUNGZEST. And he is... Did he scout that? Can we get Mr. Observer? No? Alright. I'm not gonna get the info on whether he scouted it or not. That would be pretty big. Maybe a revelation here could definitely be helpful. It's not gonna use it. So neither of these gases here have been scouted yet. Yeah, this is really nice. This is good observing, by the way. You notice when an observer realizes what's important. As YOUNGZEST is going to see the queen move out. Now this is very suspicious, of course. We'll see what the response is going to be to it. As currently he's on, I think, 2 gateways with 2 more on the way. Warps in a sentry instantly. Battery at the 3rd. The question is, do you want to hold over here on the 3rd? Or do you want to give up that 3rd base? Go somewhere else, as we have 3 oracles out. Could perhaps start producing a 4th oracle. Now the beauty of these queen walks nowadays is that if you get the 4-5 oracles, you can clear those queens because they can't transfuse each other anymore. And that is an issue. However, there's only 3 oracles, no more in production. That 1 battery is going to finish up. Stasis ward's going to be very important. Dark's gonna trigger it though. Dark is going to trigger it. Another stasis ward gets set up, but that will get biled. That's a lot of energy here that's being wasted on these oracles. Dark at 90 supply, YOUNGZEST at 70. Super battery gets activated in the far back. 1 queen goes down already. There's not enough energy on these oracles to truly help out right now. This is some good control, though, out of YOUNGZEST, who hasn't really lost a whole lot. Second queen's gonna get targeted down. 2 cannons go up. All right, now we're talking. There's 2 cannons here. Shooting their shot. 1 oracle has fallen. And there's only 1 oracle with energy remaining. 3 queens remain. 2 queens remain versus 2 oracles. And there's still 1 cannon that is active right now. More stalkers are being warped in. Dark. This push is kind of running dry here. Yes, every now and again a link shows up, but I don't quite think that's going to be enough. There's still 2 more batteries in the far back here for YOUNGZEST as well, with an extremely potent defense out of our youngster here. Wow. Skipping that Twilight Council for quite a bit, instead focusing purely on Stalker production and getting cannons up and that static defense, and has a phenomenal hold here. Now starts attacking his own battery for some reason. That is the type of cannibalization of his own buildings that we don't need at this moment. Evo chamber, double Evo chambers go down for Dark, but Dark is in a precarious situation right now where he's being outmined, and he's been in the process of being outmined for the past 34 minutes. Doesn't have a lair yet. Decent creep spread, no fort base, low queen count. There are 4 queens out. So defending everything from these oracles might be quite tricky. We see YOUNGZEST looking for an angle. Is not going to find it. Loses an oracle. That's frustrating because one of the advantages was the low queen count. The fact that maybe you can deal some more damage. Resources lost favoring YOUNGZEST. Eco favoring YOUNGZEST. As he seems to be setting up for a Blink Stalker timing push. Four Ravagers are getting morphed here. 60 workers on each side. YOUNGZEST takes a fort base before Dark does. This is absolutely unheard of in this matchup. Yes, it is of a low gas count, but that doesn't really matter. It's still very, very impressive. And I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I'm very curious to see where this is going to go. Fort base. We can see it. We know it's there. What you gonna do with it, bud? What are you gonna do with it? Are we gonna see an 8 gas Protoss or just a mass Stalker Protoss here? For now, it's going to be mass Stalker. Some nice Chinese sounds there. Love to hear it. Freaking love the sounds in other games. It really does sound, you know? It sounds good. It does have that mysterious vibe in the voice. Impressive how they do that in all the languages. StarCraft 2 is such a sick game. Like the eye for detail in StarCraft is really quite something. There's a couple of infestors now being added on. Of course, with the new infestor change, these guys don't need their pathogen glands upgrade in order to spawn with 75 energy. In exchange, though, they've lost their range on fungal. So although they come online much quicker, they're also just a little bit weaker overall. See some trades here with the Stalkers. It's going to be rough for Dark, honestly. It doesn't have a very high link count. If you don't have a very high link count, it can often be difficult to deal with this type of threat. Stalkers blinking back. Ooh, that's a large fungal as Biles want to land down. Second fungal misses, and does the Biles also miss? Quick blink out there by YOUNGZEST, who's continuing to trade. Has just a single oracle though, which is of course frustrating for him. He'd much rather have more oracles available, so he can use more stasis wards. Link count still very low, making it hard here to ever get a surround or ever really get a grip on these Stalkers. Infestors are out of energy as well. 5th base gets thrown down here for YOUNGZEST. As we see a second forge as well with the +2 weapons and the +1 armor now all researching. Adrenal Glands is on the way for Dark. If Dark stabilizes and he gets to that late game where he is so solid, it's going to be rough for YOUNGZEST. So that's really where Dark is best. Prism now shows up as well. Gonna make his way to the main base. I thought for reinforcements, but no, it's going to be a big Zealot warp in, I think, in towards the main. Let's see how ready Dark is for that. I'm trying to look on the mini-map, but I'm not quite seeing the Prism or a warp in there. Perhaps the Queens were in position. Prism still is alive, as we can see on the unit snap here. We have continued Stalkers just kiting back and forth. Every now and again a Stalker does end up falling, but overall resources lost definitely is leaning in favor here of YOUNGZEST, as he also has a 5th base. I'm really digging his position here. Big Fungal is gonna connect. There's an annoying little thing that happened there. That is very, very annoying. 2 more gates on the way as well. These trades are good. Adrenal Glands has finished, but the link count, as mentioned before, still is simply not big enough. 2 Stalkers here might fall. Moment of inattention here coming out of her 15-year-old. And here comes the Prism. Prism heads in towards the main base. 2 Zealots start hitting a Queen. The rest of the Zealots can't really unload as he tries an alternative angle. Oh, these Zealots are gonna get caught. Dark is now getting some good trades, and I'm starting to like his position more. Oh, a snipe on that fort base, though. A snipe on that fort base. So we do have another base going down at the 9 o'clock as well. Look at that income tab. That is mental. Huge advantage here for YOUNGZEST, who's going to be caught off guard a little bit. Dark wants to push across the map. That seems perhaps like a bit of a mistake. Yeah, I don't think you actually want to go across the map here, buddy. Perhaps a run-by with a bunch of links towards the far right, as a Lurker then is now on the way. And I do like that as well. Lurker, of course, a perfect unit to try and get a bit of a comeback going. Because let's face it, Dark still in a nasty spot here. A very nasty spot indeed. No Fungals available as the Zealot Warp in starts hitting that rebuilding fort base. At the same time, Prism heads in towards the main. Are we in position with Queens? I think the answer is no. On the minimap I can see some of those Zealots in there. This is a good fight for the Stalkers. No links available. Big blink forward, YOUNGZEST. Perhaps doing it as the Zealots in the main at the same time, as we can see in the second little screen, are dishing out a lot of damage as well. Half his age, but doubling his army supply right now is YOUNGZEST. Look at that. Would you look at that? 77 works to 66. GG gets called, and the 15-year-old takes out Dark here in game number 1. And that brings us to game number 2, which will be played on Equilibrium. As mentioned before, it is a loser's pick system. And Equilibrium currently is considered to be the best map for Zerg in the entire pool. The reasons for that are fairly simple. There is a gold base with a gold extra, or a rich Vespine geyser, a purple extractor. And Zerg can take it as a 3rd. We've seen Zerg take it as their natural as well. It is absolutely insane. This map is so freaking good for Zerg. It hurts my small little brain. It really does hurt my brain. It's not nice, guys. It ain't nice, let me tell you that much. Playing on this map does not spark joy as a Protoss player, yet YOUNGZEST is forced into it. He's definitely forced into it. This drone's already going down. No gold yet for Dark, though. And this is, of course, the risk that Dark takes by all-inning players that should be significantly worse than him, or at least definitely aren't favored. If your all-in fails, all of a sudden you're in a situation where, yes, you could lose. You could lose a map. You could lose the series, although Equilibrium is going to make that very difficult. When the depth gets chrono boosted out, we're going to see a Stargate opener coming out of YOUNGZEST once more, who is patrolling the gold. I like the way he played. I just like the way he played. Very often, what happens is that people kind of fall apart after they get very far ahead against a better player, you know, and they start choking. But YOUNGZEST had a plan, stuck to the plan, and he made it work. Yes, there wasn't any serious pressure on him, no run-bys, because Dark just didn't have the units or the resources to go for those run-bys. And that's, of course, usually where people start messing up. But still, taking a map of Dark in any way, shape, or form is hard. I've seen Max Packs die to that same all-in 3-4 times in a row. I think it was in a Kung Fu Cup or maybe some other event. I think it was maybe the World versus Korea event, in which I think Dark did it, the 38-39 drone roach all-in. It looked very powerful back then. It looked very powerful now, but the building position out of YOUNGZEST was phenomenal. The control was phenomenal, and even though his stasis wards failed, he was so freaking patient there with his oracles. Lovely to see, really just lovely to see. Great play. Great play here by the youngster. I freaking love it when these young kids are doing well. I think it's very exciting. I remember when I was when I was young, when I was 15, 16, I would always be very jealous of other young players that were performing better than I was. You know, it's like, oh, he's so much younger than he's like 14, I'm 15 already. This guy is 200 MMR more than I am. It's like, oh no, the world is going to end. But nowadays, I can feel joy when I see these youngsters do well. I think there's something quite interesting. Jealousy makes place for just admiration in a way. It's like, wow, you're so young, you're this good already. That's super cool. Glad to see it. Like this expansion pattern, by the way. It's not an expansion pattern we see a whole lot out of TOS. I think the triangle one is a bit more common. I could be wrong. So YOUNGZEST here might be eyeing that gold base. You know, he's got his eye on that gold base. He wants it, all right? He wants that gold real bad. Twilight Council goes down here for 37 into the game, as well as a Forge. As this is very similar to what Hero does majority of the time. Let's see if he can have as much success with his oracles as Hero usually has as well, because that is the one thing I do have to kind of criticize him on, is that his oracle usage so far hasn't been great. In the first game, they didn't achieve anything except defensively. Now he's sweeping in here. Nice control. 5 drone kills. There we go. Now, it might sound like I'm biased, and that is because I am. I really want this guy to win. And I can't help myself. This is freaking cool. Boom. Hasn't scouted the lair timing yet, as our observer here points out. I don't think it's going to be too impactful, though. The forward base now goes down on the gold with that rich Vespine geyser. I really wonder what we're going to see. Is this going to be okay? It's just going to be road speed, I guess, with +1 range. Usually Zerg players that are favored want to play some type of ranged playstyle, because it's really easy to make comebacks if you have Roach Ravager or if you have Hydra Lurker, Roach Lurker, that type of stuff. Okay, he's gonna go for melee. Just shows that he's confident in his Baneling play, I guess. Not many Zergs that are confident in their Baneling play still, ever since the Baneling nerf in the most recent patch. Zergs have been vocal about their dislike of the Baneling as a unit. And this wasn't even a melee rush either, so might still struggle. Ooh, a Spire. Ah. Alright, Dark. Show us what you got, buddy. Spire is a wild play. Of course, on this map viable, due to the nature of the gold and the rich Vespine geyser there. We're gonna have a late push out coming out of our Stalker man. Stalker man, try to understand. Take me to the land. YOUNGZEST once again popping in with the double oracles. Is gonna get perhaps a kill. Meh. If he would have micro that just a tiny tad better, could have perhaps gotten 3-4 kills there. Or at least 2. 2 would have been minimum. Of course, that's for some works away from the gold. This rich Vespine geyser is going to be a hassle to deal with later on, though. Let me tell you that much. It's going to be a hassle to deal with. Spire is about to finish up. There's a decent chunk of gas as well as minerals in the bank here. Yeah, we see serious influence here of the gold on this game. The same exact setup here for YOUNGZEST, but the question is, how ready is he for 6, 7, 8 mutas flying into his main in about a minute from now? I think the answer is, well, not very ready. He's completely unaware as to what is kicking off here. +1's being researched right now, once again, just stating that commitment to the Mutalisk here is Dark with that research. These oracles are helping out, making sure these Ravagers and Lynx can't actually chase. 2 Ravagers gonna get taken out. That's real nice. Still 70 workers to 76. There is a 5th base now on the way as well for YOUNGZEST, who has his own gold established. 14 Mutalisk though, and that is going to be an issue. Look at that spike there. That massive spike in income for Dark. With that rich Vespine geyser, with the gold. And now we have that income as well for YOUNGZEST, but it's gonna take a minute and a half before it truly kicks in. Once his production catches up and all of that good jazz. Yeah, Stalker, is he gonna scout it? I'm not so sure. It's a little bit laggy. That's okay. Happens to the best. Stasis Ward's gonna get thrown down. We'll catch a bunch of these links. Main base completely undefended. There is energy available for a recall, but there's 17 Stalkers. You're barely matching the muta count here. Barely. Tickling forward takes out 1 muta, 6, 7 workers going down instantly. If YOUNGZEST can't put any counter pressure on, that could actually be an issue as well. There goes a couple more probes as well as one more Muta. And this is the real issue now. These Mutas are just the start. If it was just these Mutas, it would be a big issue because you lost 20 workers. But the fact that there's still a bunch of links, a crap ton of roaches out as well, that's not going to be too nice. We see 50 workers total here for YOUNGZEST. His army is large and he's blinking forward. He wants to fight. +2 not quite done yet. He's gonna get an okay trade here actually as he pushes his opponent back. Dark perhaps too invested in a Muta. There's 22 out. 27 Stalkers on the map. Interesting blink, not a very good one. Mutas, they need to try and get a snipe on that prism because the army supplies are very close and Mutas not known to be great fighters. Look at that, the roach count is almost non-existent. Here on Equilibrium, I think, prism's gonna get taken out. That is a blunder here. That is a very significant blunder. Armor upgrade is about to finish up. Reinforcements very far away. Guardian Shield's gonna get sniped. Army supplies extremely close, 77 to 72. It is YOUNGZEST whose army remains bigger here. Losing a couple of zealots for free. Does not have the quick reinforcements though with a prism, does he? Or is there a second prism in the back? Yeah, there's still a second prism. So he has those reinforcements still. Up in the army supply right now, 130 to 142. If he can take out 7, 8, 9, 10 workers here, or just kill this base altogether, that would be huge. +2 melee is about to finish up as well. An absolutely insane comeback here with Dark just pushing in a bit too hard. 142 supply to 157. 88 army supply to 88. Another base is most likely gonna get taken down. Prism is so important though to stay with the main army. Workers are not being rebuilt at a high pace here for YOUNGZEST. That could be an issue. Where's that prism? I'm not seeing it. I think it's at the bottom side here. Yeah, okay, we have a zealot run by going towards the very bottom as a couple more Mutas are gonna fall. Army supply still completely even. Roach War now is gonna get sniped. Zealots moving towards the bottom side. Oh, I'm not a huge fan of going here, YOUNGZEST. I'm not a huge fan of going here. Links are here as well. Zealots not in the correct position, not quite. Supply still extremely close though. 84 to 89. A big warping comes in. I think he might be doing it. Is he? Muta count is still very high at 25. There's only 13 Stalkers remaining. It might be the air that does it here. I think it might be the air that does it here. We get a recall, but it's 24 Mutas to 5 Stalkers. 45 workers to 60 though. If YOUNGZEST can stay alive for another minute and a half here, I think he might be doing it. It's 25 Mutas though. He needs 2 more warpins and he doesn't have the gas. He doesn't have the gas. He needs a zealot run by, funnily enough. If he can get like zealots on the other side of the map, force his opponent to stay home, it is possible. Look at that income difference. Oh no, another Stargate goes down. I don't think he can hold anything. This is the real issue that we're dealing with right now. These Mutas are +1 and there's 27. There's only 8 Stalkers and there's 2 Phoenixes. These are so close. On freaking Equilibrium. Holy cow. Yeah, Dark's gonna win it now. Dark's gonna win it. 72 army supply. I started to believe there for a second again. I really did. Oh well. Man, this guy's good. 4 GG as Dark ties up the series, but this was much closer than I think Dark ever would have anticipated. So I figure we just take a look at this guy's Aligalug page. As we see, he's currently the number 13 in China, number 135 in the world. These numbers aren't very impressive by any stretch of the imagination, but this graph is very impressive to me. So it doesn't look super great if you don't know much about Aligalug, but going from a rating of 1,000 in May 22 to now being, 1,662 points already, and also taking out players that have higher points, means that he's still growing his rating. This is an insanely steep graph. It really is. For example, I am at about 2,400 Aligalug rating. The top players are at 3,300. So he's really quite close to being like a C tier or maybe a D tier professional when it comes to his Aligalug rating. And I think this thing still needs to catch up if you see what skill level he currently is at by just checking who he is beating and who he's losing to. I'm very impressed by this guy, and also just impressed by the way he plays. Just kind of solid StarCraft too. So Yeah, this is someone I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. YOUNGZEST. I'd never heard of him until today. That's going to be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.